Good evening and welcome to the Rangers Journal for the match reaction to the game against Aberdeen this evening at Ibrox. I'm your host tonight, Tomo, and I'm joined by one of our top podders, Doug. Hi, Doug. Been a little while. How's things been? You keeping well?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Managed to get through the winter period relatively healthy, so that was good. But yeah, I just enjoyed a good game of football. So.
Yeah, definitely. I concur with that. I thought it was a very, very good performance tonight. So we'll dive straight into it. We've started with the same team that started against St Johnstone. First time this season we've started with the same team 2 games in a row. So I think it shows the issues we've had in terms of injuries and people being unavailable, really. What did you make of that starting lineup? We obviously had Balogun and Tavernier back on the bench as well as options. So what did you make of the starting lineup, Doug?
Yeah, I was the 11 I was expecting. I didn't think there was any dire need to change anything because, as you say, the main changes would potentially have been Balogun and Tavernier coming back, but it's particularly given that they're both defenders. I think it was smart not to rush them back. Obviously, as we'll go on to touch on our defensive injury woes continue in this game as well. So I thought he played that one right. I thought NCL had a decent start, and he really comes into himself in this game as well, which is a big plus given those problems. So. Yeah, I was quite happy with it. I was happy to see Danilo in particular as well, because I think we're much better when we play him in that sort of middle 10 space. I think he makes a difference to the attacking play.
Yeah, he certainly brings a bit of vision, a bit of touch, and a bit of guile. It's certainly been noticeable since he's came back into the team. We've started the game off really well, very similar to the St Johnstone game. And we could have been 1-0 up within the first 5 minutes. Hamza Igaman being put through, a lovely pass into him. Touch maybe a little bit heavy, and he just tried to dink the keeper. Hasn't quite got it right, and it's just rolled wide of the post. But we didn't really have to wait long when, in the 13th minute, Aberdeen, if we're being honest, the defenders made a mess of it. But Cherney's been alert. Our press has been spot on. Got the ball, passed it to Diamandi, had his shot blocked. It's just felt Igaman who put away a nice finish. What was your thoughts on that opening goal, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see the team, taking advantages of mistakes being made. So, really slack pass from the Aberdeen defender, and Cherney was quick to it. And I did think that the chance had maybe been lost. I thought it really kind of showed the difference. Diamandi kind of gets it and hits it quickly, and then when that ball rebounds to Igaman, though, he's just so cool. He's so calm. He sort of sizes up the goal and just slots it in nice and calmly. You can probably, if you want to, compare that to how Dessers sometimes acts as well. And indeed, actually, Cherney, who I think, as we'll talk about later in the game in particular, had a number of chances where he keeps hesitating or keeps taking extra touches and extra seconds, which lose him his chance. But this particular chance at Igaman, he gets the ball, sizes up the goal, and just slots it in beautifully. And he's really becoming a player that I think, with every game, it's just getting better and better and better.
Yeah, I mean, just before we move on about the rest of the half, I just wanted to touch on there on Igaman. Like you say, every game he's showing a little bit more. There was a number of fans at the beginning of the season when he wasn't playing, and Clement was getting a little bit of criticism. Who is this guy? Why have we signed him? Waste of money. But he's certainly, for me, he's certainly our number 9 now. It's his shirt to lose. Would you agree with that, Doug?
100%. I mean, there's a reason that this is just starting now regularly off the bench, and that he's been marked so available for selling. A lot of fans have wanted rid of him for a long time, but he was really essential to the team because he was that man that was always fit and always able, and for the most part scoring goals. But Egerman's really come in and not only done all of that. He's staying fit. He's playing game to game. He's scoring goals. He's also scoring big goals and he's scoring important goals. And he's just got an air about him. And I hate to keep doing it because I find myself doing it, but I do keep kind of going back to Morelos, who was obviously our last sort of talismanic front man, and he does have that kind of air of confidence to him, and that little bit. He's got that kind of youthful. I'm going to try anything. We saw obviously the overhead kick attempt he made. So yeah, he's just got that kind of air about him as well. That while he's still very raw, and he occasionally makes mistakes, he has a chance later on in the first half that he should have buried, but he puts wide. But as I say, he's just got that little extra something that I don't think Desha's ever quite displayed to fans. That I think fans will buy into him and believe in him. And yeah, as I say, I think he's going to keep going on to big things.
Yeah, I've noticed with Egerman, some defenders do try to sort of niggle him in the way that they used to with Morelos, but he doesn't seem to react. He seems to have a very, very cool head and, just gets on with the game. So hopefully the younger fans who maybe haven't had the players to look up to might have a bit of a new hero there. As the first half continued, we were playing some really good stuff, and quite a lot of it was coming through Hadji. He's again come into the team, and it's been like a new signing. In my opinion, he was man of the match against Celtic. He dipped off a couple of games after that, but I thought again today, especially that first 45 minutes, he was excellent. What was your thoughts on Hadji today?
Completely agree. Spoiler alert, he was my man of the match for tonight. I thought he was absolutely superb, pretty much from start to the point he went off. And like say in particular in the first half, he was really engaged in the game. He was making some really beautiful passes, stretch and play, making those kind of passes that I always think he's got a bit more of an eye than almost any other player on the pitch. So there was one he made that kind of just right into that corridor of uncertainty, as they call it, into the 6-yard box that there was no one gambling for. I see a couple of really beautiful cross balls over to Cherney as well. And just, loads of passes throughout the first half. And in the second half, he started to get a couple of chances himself. He hits the crossbar. It was just, I thought, an all-round performance from him. And the more that we see him coming back to his best, the more annoyed I get that we put him out on loan. The previous year when he was, back from injury, raring and wanting to play, and I'm just, I think I said it in the chat as well. We could have had him doing this last season, and I think that could have made a difference. So yeah, it's really good to see him back to his best because he's a player that fans love as well. And as I say, he's one of those players that I think is, he's got that little bit extra bond with the club as well, a bit like Balogun does, which always makes players popular.
Yeah, and then just keeping on Hadji, it was his pass, which again was an excellent pass into Danilo, which put him through. He had a chance, and he's just unfortunately hit it straight at the goalkeeper. Going in at half time, if we'd been 2 or 3-0 up, I don't think there would have been any complaints. The only real effort Aberdeen had was a decent effort, to be fair, from Clarkson from near the halfway line, which Kelly's done well to adjust. Again, just before we go into the second half, Kelly's came in since Butland's injury. How do you feel he's performed, Doug?
Yeah, I think he's been fine overall. He kind of gives me the feeling of a backup goalkeeper, to be honest. He has decent saves. I think he played pretty. I thought he was very good today, particularly coming for crosses, which he wasn't quite so good for in some of the previous games. So, but yeah, I think he's been a perfectly able deputy, which is obviously what you want from your second keeper. I don't think he's done anything that will make the manager think twice about not putting Butland straight back in when he's back. But as I say, he's been fine, I think, and particularly given the difficulty of having a totally makeshift defence in front of him. That's changed, or that initially changed from game to game. So let's say he had the same few, but today. But yeah, so he's done well in what was probably a tough period for him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think he's done a fine job, and he's certainly not disgraced himself. And seen reports that Butland's going to be back in training, so hopefully he'll be fit and raring to go soon. So at half time it was 1-0. Come out in the second half, Danilo has came off. Not quite sure what the injury was. I'm saying on Rangers TV, potentially shoulder, maybe collarbone, but at the minute there's been nothing confirmed. He was replaced by Rami. And again, second half, just sort of, it wasn't as fast-paced as the first half, but I felt we weren't in any danger, and it just seemed to be a matter of time till we got that second goal. How do you think the second half went, Doug? What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There wasn't any time that I felt we weren't in control of the game. I thought we controlled the match from start to finish. Aberdeen did have a small 5-10 minute spell where they did start to push a little bit more, and they got a couple of chances. But yeah, the problem was that, like you say, we could have been 2, 3, 4 goals up by half time, and we should have been at least definitely 2 goals. And that was ultimately, I think, the problem is that, you know, we're coming out of this game, in my opinion anyway, feeling good about it because we've played well. We've shown a lot of good passages of play, passing, scored a couple of goals. But if you caveat that with the fact that those goals came literally at the last second, the last 2, and it was a game that, you know, I was on edge still because I knew, well, it's only 1-0, and one deflection, one shot, one crafty corner that hits someone in the backside, and, you know, we're on a draw again. And we shouldn't have feeling like that. We should have been comfortable and enjoying the second half. But it just had that edge because of that, and that's, you know, that's the kind of the downside, is that we still showed the inability to kill the game off, and that's been a problem for us all season. In fact, for a number of seasons, we just don't seem to have the ability to kill games off, despite being completely in control of the match. And like I say, I think we had something like 30 odd shots, maybe, or around about that kind of number. So, you know, albeit we got the 3 in the end, like you say, but it should have been much, much earlier so that we could have enjoyed it. And also, if you're 3-0 up by 60 minutes, you've got more options then to potentially rest players, to potentially put on youngsters and all that kind of stuff that we don't get to do because, well, it's only 1-0, so we need to make sure this game ends.
Yeah. In the second half, we got to see Balogun come back. Unfortunately, it was due to an injury to Robin Proper. Again, looked like when he's blocked the shot, he's maybe just fell awkwardly. So hopefully it's nothing too serious, and it was just more of a precaution. Again, good to have Balogun back. And then obviously Tavernier came on as well. So again, good to have bodies back for this, you know, what's a lot of important games coming up. The closer it got to 90 minutes, we think we were just going to see out the 1-0 win. But we had chances. We didn't just sit back, Doug. We did break on Aberdeen, and we got our second goal. Big Balogun, who potentially could have had a hat-trick tonight, hit the post. Lovely header at the back post from a lovely cross from Clinton Nasiala, and that wrapped up the points. And then obviously Dessers came on, and I've got to give him credit. I thought it was a very, very nice goal he scored. Took it very well. So just summing up, you've said Hadji was your man of the match. Do you think this has given us a bit of a platform? I mean, Ibrox has not really been an issue this season. We've pretty much got the job done. It's been our away form. How do we transfer this home form into away form and start picking up points away, Doug?
That's the $1 million question, really, isn't it? I think, you know, we'll come out of this game without necessarily learning anything new about the team. We do play better at home, and we seem to just have that extra confidence that, for whatever reason, they can't seem to manufacture away. You mentioned NCR, I do want to give him a shout out as well. I thought I think in some people's eyes could be man of the match as well. I thought he played really well. I mean, he showed some really good passing out of defence in the first half, and then obviously he sets up a goal in the second. So again, given our injury worries, it's good to see him coming into a game and playing with confidence. That's made me feel a little bit better about that issue. Someone that knows in the comments, and I think everyone agrees, we need to get ourselves a centre half in to help with those issues. But it's good to see him coming in and showing that he can come into games if need be. You mentioned obviously going into important games. We've got a cup game coming up, then we've got the Europe League match against United, and then we go into what I think will be a real make or break period for Clement, because he's got a run of away matches against teams that are all going to be difficult matches. So I think there's Hibs in there, Hearts, is obviously Celtic eventually. There's no gimmies in the away games that are coming up, and if we don't find a way, like you say, to transfer that form somehow, then I can see him losing some of those games. And there's only so much more. Most fans are already at the point of wanting rid of him. So, and obviously with protests and things starting to come up, all of that will only get worse if that starts happening. So he really does need to find that. Consistency would be a big help. Obviously, injuries are not helping him. It's been a hindrance to the last couple of managers, the fact that we just keep having injuries constantly. And I've said before, if you can't play a consistent team, then it breaks up the team's rhythm, because they can't as easily find combinations between one another. You can't just get used to the fact that, such and such is always on the left-hand side, and he likes to make these runs, so without looking, I'll just play a ball that way, and something happens. If your player on your left is different every other week, you're having to remember who's there, what does he do, okay, play it this way. So it's just a pain. Getting that sorted would be a big help, but I mean, we've been dealing with that issue for a couple of years as well. So what's the solutions? I'd love to tell you, but I don't know. If I did know, I'd probably be a very rich man, because I'd sell it to them and solve it. But that's what Clement's paid the big bucks for. So that's something you'll need to figure out, because that is going to be, as I said it before, his away form is going to be I think what will end his tenure at Rangers if it doesn't improve.
Yeah, no, I totally 100% agree, Doug. Obviously, if we win tonight, that cuts the gap at the top of the league to 13 points. Not saying opens a door or anything, but it's the first time in a while. It's the first time in a while, I think, that Celtic have dropped points and we've taken advantage of it. So, got to be a little bit of a positive. So we'll wrap up there. Thank you to everyone that's joined in and watched and commented. Thank you, Doug, obviously, for coming on and discussing the game. Be more in-depth discussion over the next couple of nights. And we've obviously got to look forward to the cup game at the weekend to come. So if you've not already done it, please like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. The numbers are growing, the content is growing, and obviously we'd love to hear your opinions. So I'll wrap up there. And again, I've been Tomo. Thank you very much for your time. And remember, every night is a Rangers Journal night.